Right, so the tipped arrows are pretty useless because there's not much of an opportunity for you to shoot your friend with a water-breathing arrow. If you wanted water breathing, you just use a potion, and because of that, the tipped arrows don't really have many uses. However, I've come up with a use for each one of them, and we're going to start with the obvious, then we'll move on to the decorative, the makes sense, the stretch, but it's a pretty useless arrow anyway, so it's quite understandable, and the stretch so far my back has snapped in half, quite perfectly I must say. So let's begin with the obvious. Spectral Arrow is a Java exclusive, and it makes the mob much easier to see. Instant Health Arrow does extra damage to undead mobs. Instant Damage Arrow, extra damage to mobs that are not undead. Wow, isn't that fun? I didn't even fully charge that up. Poison Arrow, it's extra damage, but over time. Wow. However, spiders and undead mobs are immune to poison, which means that this isn't going to be very useful at night, because most of the mobs you're fighting are undead, or spiders. But, you know, maybe you want to kill your friend. Maybe you're a murderer, I don't know. The Arrow of Decay, which is a Bedrock exclusive, it does extra damage, but over time. But now, we have the decorative arrows. And you might wonder, how can an arrow be decorative? Well, we've got the Arrow of Splashing, which is just when you use a lingering water bottle to craft it, and we've got a speed arrow. So when you shoot an arrow on the floor, there's this potion effect that comes off of it. So I've got a slime block here linked up to a piston, which is linked to a redstone clock. So if I shoot some of these splashing arrows onto here, let's say I want to put these darker blue arrows on the outside, which is the arrows splashing, and then I want some speed arrows on the inside just to, you know, spruce it up a little bit. So we put a few of those on the inside. You want to make sure you don't pick them up like I just did. In there like that, and we're going to not pick up the arrows. Instead, we're going to turn on this clock. You can see what's happening, and if we look, something has gone wrong. And as you can see, it's because these arrows are not being launched. And why is that? It's because we've actually lodged the arrows in a weird position. So when you're shooting your arrows, you want to make sure that they are facing directly downwards so they just don't get stuck. It's good practice to do so. And now that we've looked directly down, we turn this back on. Look at that! We've got a lovely water geyser. And then you can also do the same thing, but in water if you feel like. The difference if you have water is because water slows down arrows, it actually goes less high than this one over here. So keep that in mind if you're going to use this for decoration. Also keep in mind that these are very loud contraptions because pistons are just loud, and also arrows are loud when they hit the ground, so be mindful of that. Weakness arrow. So, campfires can emit smoke. You could use campfires for a smoke effect, but it's quite big, it's quite intrusive, and I do think this looks good. However, it would maybe look better if you had a few bits of less intrusive effect. So, if we shoot some weakness arrows onto a regular piston without a slime block, make sure they're facing directly down like before, you can go ahead and pop your block there, activate your clock, and you can see you've got like a darker smoke from this weakness arrow that's just coming off of that block. It is very loud, which is the one downside, but look at that! So you've got this little effect, which is sort of overshadowed by these campfires, but look, I had to find a use for each arrow, give me a break. The fire resistance arrow and the strength arrow. These can be used to create lava geysers, like how we created water geysers. You can do the exact same thing with lava. I think the idea of a lava geyser is really cool. You do kind of have to ignore the flaming bit of the arrow, but you know, lava's hot, that could just be part of the lava that is geysering. Poison arrows. You can actually use them for stink particles, for like garbage or something. So if I come here, I've got a sticky piston with a slab on top of it, and that's just so that I get the right amount of particles. Without the slab, there'd be too little particles, and with a full block, there'd be just too much particles. So if you ignore the loud noise of the arrow constantly hitting the block, it looks really cool, and it's a really cool visual detail, just not a cool detail audio-wise. However, if you're willing to overlook that, you can come over here and have some lovely steam coming out of a vent with the wind charge. You can shoot a bunch onto a piston, but now we've got steam rising from a vent. So if you have like a city build, you could use this for like an air vent. Let's move on to the makes sense. The weaving arrow. It makes mobs you kill drop cobwebs. So the use here is that you could farm cobwebs while at a safe distance. So say it's night and I'm looking for some mobs who have spawned, I can go ahead and kill these mobs from a safe distance to farm their cobwebs. So now they're all dead, they've all spawned cobwebs, and now it's safe for me to come in here with my shears and scoop up these cobwebs. Same goes with the oozing arrow, and you could use this for safe slime farming. Also, the oozing effect does not affect slime, so you can't just generate infinite slime. Slowness, specifically slowness 4, because there are 2 slowness arrows. There is the slowness 1, which is only minus 15% speed, which is not that much. And then there is slowness 2, which is minus 60% speed, which can be pretty useful. Say you have a mob such as a Vindicator, which is chasing you. If you chuck one of these arrows at him, it will slow him down. But now if I head to creative, because I'm a coward, you could use the Turtle Master Potion as well, which is slowness 6, which is minus 90% speed. That's a lot. Also gives them resistance 4, which isn't great. However, you could slow them down and then run away. And so essentially with the Turtle Master Arrow, it essentially slows them down entirely. You can see he's you can see he was still moving. Yeah, he was still moving. It's just 90% is a lot of speed. But now we've got Stretch, but it's a pretty useless arrow anyway, so it's quite understandable. Let's say you've got Invisibility. Maybe your friend is fighting some mobs at night, and then from afar you turn the mobs invisible. They have no idea what hit them. You can prank your friends from afar and take none of the blame. And also it's a minute, which is quite a long time for a tipped arrow. Infested. There's a 10% chance with the infested arrow that the mobs will spawn silverfish when damaged. If I keep shooting this zombie over and over again, okay. If I keep shooting this skeleton if I keep shooting this over and over again, if I keep shooting this guy over and over and over again, there, silverfish. And that means that you can get slightly more XP because silverfish, they don't have a drop, but they will drop XP. Slow falling. This is quite a stretch. But let's say your friend is falling and you need to save them. Look at him, it's my friend. I just saved him. As you can see, if we just let him fall 100 blocks, he just died. But that guy didn't die because I gave him slow falling and you just saw him. He fell slower. Because with slow falling, you take no fall damage. So you could use this to save your friend if they're falling, but you would need really good aim. But now, stretched so far, my back has snapped in half, quite perfectly I must say. The Luck Arrow, which is a Java exclusive, and you can also only get it in creative. It gives you better fishing loot, which means you could be Cupid, but for fishing. Look at this guy, over here, he's fishing, but he's getting a bit unlucky, so I can go ahead and shoot him with this Luck Arrow. Now he's lucky, look at that, isn't that fun? That was a whole lot of fun. And look, I told you. These are a big stretch, and I was not exaggerating when I told you that these were a huge stretch. But if we jump across these pool floaties, we've got the water breathing arrow. Maybe your wolf is drowning. Oh no, my wolf is gonna drown, so I gotta shoot him with this arrow, and now he can breathe underwater. However, I'm pretty sure almost all mobs can swim, so this isn't a very useful arrow. And I know that undead mobs can't swim, however undead mobs also can't drown. Zombies, however, can drown, and when they do so they turn into the drowned mob. However, water breathing does not change this. But let's come over to the jump boost arrow, specifically jump boost 2. Let's say you're doing a parkour course with your friend's ahead of you, and you've remembered to chug your potion of leaping, but oh no, my friend hasn't, and also there's like conveniently like a wall so that when I shoot him with this arrow he's not going to fall off. Wow, isn't that fun? Now he can do the parkour because I shot him with the leaping and I didn't even have to move up to him. But now I can do the parkour at my own rate and I don't have to catch up to him to give him a jump boost potion. I can continue on my merry way across this parkour down into the hole. And in the hole, we've got a night vision arrow. So let's say I've remembered my night vision, but maybe my friend is over there, and maybe he's being attacked by monsters. Monsters are bad, and so he needs to be able to see them so he can kill them. So I'm gonna go ahead and shoot them so that I can keep mining, because I'm just mining away, and I don't want to have to go over to him, and so I can just shoot him, because that is the solution. Yeah. But yeah, that was a use for every single tipped arrow. If you have better uses for any of them, please tell me, because it was hard coming up with a use for some of the most useless items in the game. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed. Leave some feedback in the comments. Goodbye!